إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك الفوز العظيم صدق الله العظيم. The translation of the verse I recited is theirs are gardens with rivers flowing beneath their eternal home. Allah well pleased with them and they with Allah. That is a great salvation. Chapter 48 verse 18. I recited this that last time I was here as well, and we were talking about the series of heroes of Islam. That's the theme I'm trying to work on. The reason I'm trying to do that is because I see a lot of youngsters taking role models from the current generation. And most of the role models you see, the actual true people with content, जो लोग मुत्तकी परहेजगार होते हैं वो आगे नहीं आते, वो नजर नहीं आते, because of which they are not in the public domain, they are not known. So our youngsters end up taking up role models from the people who are very popular, especially from the movie industry or your sports industry or fashion industry. So they also need to start working on trying to see who these real heroes of Islam were, who unconditionally worked, gave their life, because of which today you and I have the kalima on our tongues. So that was the whole thing. I also shared in the last talk which I shared with you all. The talk was specifically about Umar Radhiyallahu Ta'ala, Farooq al-Ummah. He was given the title of Farooq al-Ummah, the man who distinguished truth from falsehood. This was the laqab which Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave. And he also told that if there was any prophet who would come after me, it would be Umar Radhiyallahu Ta'ala. So that is the kind of personality we are talking. And if you notice, most of the people in current younger generations, if they understand the story of Umar Radhiyallahu Ta'ala, they'll connect to him very quickly, because he was a very relatable character. He had pre-Islamic, he had a personality of being very aggressive, very powerful, very strong. People feared him. वो बोलते हैं ना, एक मार दो टुकड़े का जो है उनका attitude था. He didn't take nonsense. He was very sharp. He was very good in literature. People don't know about this. He was very good in linguistics. He was very good in poetry. He was represented as the ambassador of his entire tribe. The Quraysh के तरफ से इनको nominate करके भेजते थे. When there was any conflict, any resolution, any debate, any discussion, Umar Radhiyallahu Ta'ala used to be forefronted, used to be sent. So today, I also shared how he was so against Islam, against the message, because it was breaking the unity of Quraysh. So इनका और Abu Jahl का जो the way of dealing was very different. Umar was against Islam because it was breaking up the tribes of Quraysh. He wanted the tribes to be united. So the day he decided to go and kill the Prophet ﷺ, when he took the sword and he went, Nuaym ibn Abdullah radhiyallahu ta'ala stopped him in the way. And then you know the entire story, what happened, how he was deviated from there to go to his sister's house. He found his sister. He also discovered afterwards that his brother also had secretly accepted Islam. And the story goes where he finally, Allah gives him hidayah. He goes to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he accepts Islam, and he says, why do we need to practice our deen in hiding? Are we doing something wrong? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, no, ye haq hai. So then he goes out and declares and says, let's now practice our deen openly. Look at that man who really took on the entire message on his shoulders, and what Allah planned for him, what kind of leadership he gave, what kind of a person he was to take the baton from Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu Ta'ala and go and conquer 3/4 of the world at that time. 22 lakh square kilometers उनकी हुकूमत थी. सोच सकते हैं आप? आज के जमाने में आसान है सोचना, एक आदमी फ्लाइट इधर से लेता है 24 घंटे में, you'll be on the other side of the world. But look at this man on horseback, on camels, leading a tribe of people who were absolutely non-disciplined before they got iman. They're very aggressive, they're very ignorant. ऐसे लोगों को खड़ा करके take them forward and get victory against empires of those days, superpowers of those days, right? The Persian superpower, the Roman against them, brought them to their knees. So I'm trying to give you an understanding of what kind of a personality he must have been. Could you compare him to anybody today? I can't. I'm trying to see what kind of qualities he had. इनको compare कर सकते हैं क्या आज के heroes के साथ? नहीं कर सकते. Absolutely impossible. By no means you can compare them. So it becomes incumbent upon us to learn about them, about these heroes, one by one. Everyone was like an amazing superhero. So हमें जो सुपर हीरो का लक़ब दे रहे हैं आज, जो मूवीज में दिखता है, सब गलत है. It's fake, it's lies. There's nothing real about it, right? It's just a deception. It is deception. Back to back, people have started looking at it. They've started believing, oh, these are the superheroes. But that's a lie. That's a complete, delusion. We have to tell the children about these things. It's very important to have these conversations, right? So, when he look at his character today, what I'm going to try to unveil or discuss with you all, or try to express myself in terms of his character, is not about his leadership, about the wars. Though I introduced the war side of his character, the kind of, he was called what? Amirul Mu'mineen. The first time he laqab diya gaya, commander of the Mu'mineen. Command. So there was a delegation which came from outside and said, where is your king? The people said, we don't have a king. We have an Amir. And that was the title given to him. Amirul, the commander of the Mu'mineen. Right? That was the identity he has. So, a man of that stature, having conquered 3/4 of the world. So, when this delegation from outside came, where is your king? We can't find him. We don't have a king. We have Amirul Mu'mineen. And right now, he is out there searching for a lost camel from the Baitul Mal, from the treasury of the Mu'mineen. This man, the man we call Amir, he is out there with the people searching for a camel which was lost from the treasury, which is an amana of the community. Where is his palace? There is no palace. So they went searching for him, and after a while they found him. He was very tired. After searching for the camel, they found, or they didn't find, but he's very tired. And they said, where is he? And the Sahaba pointed out, he's there, he's lying down under the tree. Think about a king, or even a CEO of a company in today's time, or a person who has some business. The way we walk, the moment we get a little wealth, a little property, a little title, हमारा चलने का तरीका ही बदल जाता है. Think about it. Can you imagine a leader, a person who's a mamuli, a person who's given a title, even the president of a masjid, for example, or the president of a company, a CEO of a company, will he ever sleep under the tree? Think about it. This man who is the Amirul Mu'mineen, and everybody is appalled, they are shocked to see this man is leading this entire army, ruling over 3/4 of the world. He is sleeping under the tree without no security. No security at all. Alone, ऐसे हाथ डाल के ऐसे सो गए. Try to emote and understand what kind of a character is. So today what I'm going to tell you is not about his conquests, not about his leadership on the battlefield. I want for us to understand and relate to a human being. Let us relate to him as a human being. Razilullah Ta'ala. What kind of a character was he? इनकी आदतें क्या थी? What was his way of life on a daily basis? Of course, it's a very extraordinary situation. Let us try to understand how was he on a daily basis. Okay, at least that we'll take back as a message for today. Because you and I have to go back to our homes, to our offices, to interact with the people. How was he as a normal human being? This man, I need to understand that. I need to know that. So, What did I pick up? I picked up a few. There are a lot of characteristics about him. I told you about his physical characteristics last time. I told you about how he spoke, how he was, how he stood. On the first जो खुतबा दिया गया उनकी तरफ से जब वो खलीफा बने, he came to the minbar. He stood up on the third step. Then suddenly he remembered Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to stand on this step. So immediately went down to the next step. दूसरे step पे जाके खड़े हो गए. He went to the next step and suddenly he remembered Abu Bakr Siddiq used to stand here. I don't deserve to stand here. He got to the next step, the lowest one. He stood there and he gave his khutbah. Can you imagine the first point, a person with that kind of character, tall, well built, people used to be scared of him, having such humility. Look at the person, he's just come down to the member. He's been appointed as the Khalifa and he goes down to the member thinking about the stature of the Prophet ﷺ, then Abu Bakr Siddiq. Speaks volumes of the kind of humility and accountability he had. He did that khutbah. And then a person who destroyed all the major empires. What do we know about him? I'm sure you've heard a lot about this amazing superhero, right? You've heard a lot, but what is it that comes to your mind when you think about 5 big qualities, which is very simple for you and I to implement? I want to share something from his life which I don't want to share something which we can't implement. They were amazing people. Some of the things which they did, we can't implement. What is it that we can implement? हमारे जिंदगी रोजमर्रा जिंदगी, what can we implement as an ummah? So he is known to have led a very minimalistic life. Today, I don't know how many of you know, minimalism is one of the most popular way of life across the world. People who have achieved something really big, they turn to minimalism. They don't turn to a lot of big things, big material, big houses. They turn minimalistic. They do a minimal living. You see a lot of people in the industry also, in the corporate industry, when they achieve something really big, from there they suddenly take a turn and they become very minimalistic. Because ज़्यादा expensive cars नहीं चलाते, they don't stay in big houses, they don't wear expensive कपड़े, they just become minimal. So he was already a minimalist. He never used to have anything for himself. But he had this habit as an Amirul Mu'mineen. He could have delegated any task to anybody. किसी को भी काम पे लगा सकते थे, किसी को भी बोलते थे जाके आप काम करके आओ. लेकिन certain tasks he did it himself. In the night, disguised, he used to walk the streets of the city so that he checks what is happening, what is the situation with my people. इनकी हालत क्या? Can I help them better? Can I bring administration in a better way? So he used to go and check the people. He used to find out what's happening in the town, what's happening in the city. He never sat back in his comfort and allowed others to do their job. It's really crazy, right? Imagine the chief minister walking the streets. Forget about walking, driving the streets. The driving of the street itself is all covered. They are all Z type of security. Police is already talking about it. Never ever he gets to interact with the actual public. He never gets to see the real problem. In fact, when a minister is going to come into the place is all mocked up. Any small corrections are required on the road, cleanliness, all that is done by the local people so that when he comes, he sees the good side of the whole city. Think about the integrity. He goes in the night, walks the night, he doesn't sleep. He walks the night and he finds out what's happening, what are the people doing, what are their problems. He goes and talks to them without revealing that he is Amirul Mu'mineen. Amazing, right? Amazing quality, right? At our level, in our own houses, are we doing that? Checking with the people in the house? We are so ट्रांजैक्शनल. जरूरत पड़े तो बात करते हैं लोगों से घर के अंदर, जरूरत नहीं पड़े तो जाके हाल चेक नहीं करते, जाके पूछते अपने बच्चों से, अपने वालिदैन से, अपने ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स से, आपकी क्या जरूरत है, मैं क्या कर सकता हूं आपके लिए. Isn't it a duty for us? Look at the way we are living. It's become such a transactional society. जरूरत पड़े तो जाको पूछते, जरूरत नहीं रहे तो भूल जाते, कहाँ है क्या कर रहे मालूम नहीं. Is this a moment? Can a Muslim be like this? Think about it. Isn't it our duty when people are alive and kicking inside our house, they are good, in good health, they're in good shape, but we don't know what their mental state could be. We don't know what their financial state could be. We don't know what are the challenges. Probably you have your father around and he's struggling. You may not know what are the challenges he's facing. Have you ever, as a son, gone or a daughter, gone and sat next to your father and asked, Dad, what are you going through? Can I help you? As a father, have you gone and sat next to a child and said, I know it's difficult in school, the subjects you deal with, can we do something to help you out? Look at this man, Umar Razilullah Ta'ala goes onto the road, goes to the streets, checks with people, आपके हाल क्या है, क्या तो तकलीफ है, क्या मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ क्या? Think about this. I am taking this message back. This message is not for you all alone, it's for me as well. I am taking this message back. I found 5 qualities in this amazing superhero. 5 qualities which I was really, shaken up with. Being what? Amirul Mu'mineen, being the king. He was actually the king, but that time the title of king was not there. He was actually the king of 3/4 of the world, 22 lakh square miles. कौन सी हुकूमत है बताइए? What a man. He's the real superhero. Let's read, let's learn about him. Let's try to, spread the word. Talk about him. We talk about so many people, nahin? The fashion gurus, they do something, it becomes news. Some cricketer does something, it becomes news. Why not talk about these real heroes? Why shouldn't inside our own friend circle we talk about it? Can we all have one chapter learnt about this man? Come back, excuse me, and discuss. Why don't we discuss about him? The first highlight about a personality like this, who is Amirul Mu'mineen, is found sweeping the masjid floor and cleaning the masjid very often. Amazing quality. How many of us even clean up when we come into the masjid? कुछ गंदा देखा, कुछ dust है. How many of us volunteer? वो ये हमारी मस्जिद नहीं, यहाँ की association अलग है. मस्जिद तो अल्लाह की होती है. Why don't we see to it when we walk inside, we keep this place better than it was when we came in? Minimum thing. And being what? Accountable to Allah. Not being accountable to anybody. Think about it. What you do? You have people who are serving the masjid here. How many times have we shaken their hands and told, thank you, Jazakallah khair, aapne masjid ka, you have taken care of the masjid. How many times have we done that? Isn't it a moment's quality? Isn't it a Muslim's quality to acknowledge the other brother who is working so hard to take care of this place, which is there are places in the world you don't have masjids. ढूंढे तो masjid नहीं मिलती. Allah कितनी बड़ी चीज नवाजे हैं. All these people who are working for this masjid, have you ever stepped? We come in, finish our salah and go, just shake their hands. No, when you're going back, going outside, just shake their hands. Say, thank you so much. Jazakallah. आपने कितना अच्छा रखा है. Beautiful masjid this is. Small acts are insignificant to this world, but small acts are very significant in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that can be the zariya of our Jannah. Do not ignore a small act which you may do. Don't think that क्या बनेगा, क्या हो जाएगा. नहीं, अल्लाह के आंख में, अल्लाह के आंखों में नजर के अंदर, your small act of ikhlas you did just for the sake of Allah, that could be the zariya of our nijat. There are hundreds and hundreds of examples. The first thing, he comes in and cleans the masjid. Second thing which I highlight, I was thinking actually, how can a man who is like this, who is a superhero, who people are scared, and he's ruling over the world, sleeping under a tree? Impossible, eh? Third, he wore clothes which he could afford from his income, not from the Baitul Mal. He never took something from the Baitul Mal. He wore clothes which he could afford. And they have different accounts. They say there were 14 patches on his dress. Very compromised dress. एक patch एक फट गया तो हम ना, we are embarrassed to walk out of the house. How? You all know about this Baitul Maqdis. Jab they were handing over the keys. I'm sure you've read about this or heard about the story. So they invited, we want to give that key, we want to concede, we want you to come and rule this place. So he and his slave or servant, they set out to Baitul Maqdis on a camel. So they took turns, you know about the story. Jitna waqt Umar oon pe baithte utna waqt, he used to get his servant also to sit on the oon. When he is sitting on top, he used to be holding the reins and walking. And I don't know how many of you know that they gave equal time to the camel also to sit down and rest. So there was one portion where Umar used to sit on top, one portion where the servant used to sit, there was a third portion where both of us used to get down and they used to make the camel rest. And when they reached the outskirts of Baitul Maqdis, the servant said, आप अमीरुल मोमिनीन हैं, आप चाबी लेने जा रहे हैं, थोड़ा कपड़े तो ढंग के, थोड़ा सीधे साधे करके, if you can do something about your clothes. And what did he say? Our dignity and our izzah didn't come because of our clothes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us izzah because of our Islam, our deen.